Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm hid behind a banner thing, but now I'm on screen. It's me, Jake. Surprise! Here on the Chaps Chat Cats on a Monday night, live, beamed straight into your eye holes and your ear holes, and I'm joined, of course, by the one and only Mr. Johnny Larkin. How are you, John Doe?
Pretty good, pretty good. I forgot to turn my light on. I'll turn my light on.
Ripping start here between the two of us.
There we
I felt
go.
a little bit like Matthew
Absolutely.
McConaughey in Interstellar. I was just stuck behind the thumbnail going, Murph, no! Yeah.
No, Merv.
How are you tonight?
Don't discover it. Good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing well. How are you? How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks. It's not always that the host
That's
gets
good.
asked. So it's nice that it's it's nice to be asked.
Nice.
I'm good. We've got Jackie Mack, Mark, Shadu already in the chat. Sound off if you're watching. Yep. We've got the Cuck Lord at the controls tonight behind the scenes.
Yes.
Our new producer, MC Cuck Lord, doing all the dirty business behind the scenes for us digitally and otherwise. So yeah, that is a massive boon to the show. Sambo should join us at some point in the near future. Yeah, tonight's episode, Johnny, no game to recap.
No game.
So
no game at all.
Yeah.
There were games, but not games that we gave any fuss over.
Many shits about. Yeah.
Maybe there's one
on tonight's
Friday
episode,
night. We gave some fuss over one Thursday, Friday night.
True. Our good mate Jacko was wrapped up deep with the doggies, hoping that they could get over the line, and they did. So yeah, tonight we're going to have a look at the topic of what have we learned through two games about the Cats, specifically, and MC Cucklord has also put on the rundown for us to discuss about opening round. I think that is a good spot to talk about because I've got some feelings personally around.
You're in the personal feelings.
Yeah, I've got some personal feelings around opening round. Mostly that it fucking sucks. But I'll try and keep an open mind. No, it's not even from that point of view. I just hate all the buys this early in the season. Like, if I'm completely honest, completely honest, we do have to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. You can visit them, shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. You can go online, www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au, or you can phone them up on 035 222 2244. So yes, massive thank you to Cyril Cook for their sponsorship in 2026. Absolute bloody legends. Big supporters of the show and of course, the network over time. Johnny, let's jump into it. The chat is sort of popping off. Chuck in your thoughts. Oh, here we go. Jackie says Shawnee Manor signed up. Something to celebrate. Oh, what are the deets? Let's talk about that right now, Johnny. If we've got a bit of breaking news off the top, Sean Manor. Let me just juggle it up. Here we go. Sean Manor 1 hour ago signs on with Geelong. This per the Cats website. Geelong Cats forward Sean Manor will remain in the hoops until at least the end of 2029 after re-signing with the club for a further 3 seasons. The Cats picked him up at number 36 in the 2023 National Draft. And Johnny, he's become a pretty impressive part of this team. I saw him with my own 2 eyes make a massive impact last week against Fremantle. What are your thoughts on this? Shawnee Manor signs up to the end of 2029.
It's good to see one of our young players, best young player of the season last year, sign up for another 3 years. Really exciting, really good. It didn't feel like we were going to really lose Shawnee Manor. It feels like he's embedded himself nicely in at the Cats, and it just feels like one of those signing contract extensions that was just going to happen at some point. I don't think it had ever been raised that there was any talk of him going anywhere or him wanting to talk to other teams. It just, yeah, this feels pretty much probably like finalized 5 weeks ago or whatever, or it's at the end of this, had to, fill in the finer details. But yeah, very, very exciting. Great that he's signed on again. He's, yeah, as you said, he did some really important stuff last week, and he's done some incredibly important things in games before, and he will continue doing that throughout the rest of his career as a Cat. So yeah, it's really, really fantastic, and I think it's a good recognition of the hard work he's put in to get to this position, and from where he started, like playing VFL, playing state leagues not far from where we
Mm.
live, and doing going a very hard, long road to get to an AFL list. And I'm glad he's landed at the Cats because, yeah, he's become a pretty huge, pretty important cog in the team going forward. So well done, Shawnee Manor. A well deserved contract extension.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a no-brainer when you can pluck someone, out of a VFL list. I mean, you go back to him, he was way too talented to be playing VFL footy, basically. 2023, that last season at Werribee in the grand final they lost to Gold Coast. He had 27 touches, 6 marks, and kicked 6 goals too. Um, just insane. There's other games during that year. Sandringham, 25 disposals, 6 tackles, 7.1 goals kicked. Southport in 2023, he had 40 touches, 6 marks, 3 tackles, kicked 4 goals, 1. He was just way too good to be playing VFL footy. Obviously had to, complete the skill set once he got to the Cats. I think there was some stuff they wanted him to improve on. He did that in the VFL side, and once that was all fixed up, he's basically been an ever-present part of the squad since then. And, I think it's a no-brainer. Lock him up for another 3 years. He's been playing well since he got to the club, really, and I just think he's again, one of those reasons the Cats can build because they like to, they're able to nurture young talent, Johnny, when you're able to
Mm,
bring in young players like Sean Manor into the side, they can compete for rising stars, etc. But in all seriousness, it is players like Sean Manor that allow the Cats to do what they do because you bring in a guy who's physically ready, who has a lot of footy under his belt, maybe not at AFL level, but they've got a bit of life on their
yeah,
tires, and they're not 18-year-old guys learning the ropes. So, yeah, Shawnee Manor, sign him up. It's an absolute no-brainer. Speaking of no-brainers, it's a no-brainer when we can make our twos up a threes up. Sambo is incoming as we speak. We're trying to get the transmission signal correct from his place to
yeah.
ours. So yeah, the Cucklord is working overtime in the background, MC Cucklord, to make that happen. But yeah, I don't know. What do we think in the chat? Sound off what you think about Sean Manor signing on. Seems like a no-brainer to us.
No
I
brainer.
would like to know, actually, from the chat, where does Sean Manor rate to you in terms of like importance to the team? Where do you put him? Is he top 5? Is he top 10? Is he top 15? Whereabouts do you rank him in terms of his importance to the Geelong side? Because I think that's an interesting question. What about for you, Johnny? Where do you put him? Hey, here
Oh,
we go.
there we go.
We've got Sambo popping in.
We've got
Where
Sambo
where do you
here.
rank him? Top 5, top 10, top 15?
I'll probably put
Just
him in the
best
top
23?
10. I reckon
Oh,
it's top
okay.
10 for
So,
me. I think he's one of those players that is, he has that, as they say in the media, the barometer of a side. And I think if Shawnee Manor didn't do what he did against Fremantle, I I don't see us getting back into that game. He'll really set us up for that win really nicely with those 3 goals. Smart positioning, hard running, gut running, and just putting that energy into the team. You don't you can't get the momentum unless you kick those goals. And Shawnee Manor was good enough to kick 3 of those goals and being smart as well. So, yeah, I think he's a top 10 player for us in terms of importance. I think because he can really rev up the team quite well and quite quickly, like we saw against Fremantle.
Sambo, we've got some music to welcome you in. We'll see if it actually works for you. Let's see. Does this work for you?
I can hear nothing.
Oh, damn, it was the hallelujah music.
Probably
Anyway, the gospel choir.
Gospel choir.
How are you?
I'm
I was waiting for the Papley fuck moment coming in.
Oh. No.
How dare
absolutely
you?
Not.
How absolutely dare you? How are we, lads? I've missed some Shawnee Manor speak, and what else?
He's extended to 20 for 3 more years, 2029.
Yep.
Gosh. Right so up into his prime playing age.
Yep.
Exactly.
I'm sure I've already missed several Rising Star jokes already. I'm sure.
No, us? Making Rising Star jokes? Absolutely not.
Best young player.
Spring chicken.
Young player.
Best. Yeah, well, maybe Rising Star this year then,
Yeah.
There's always hope.
Baby step.
Sam's very much
next step.
Sam looks like he's dressed for media duties on the pod tonight. He's got the official club polo rocking here. So what do we think, Sambo? Are you happy about the Shawnee Manor news? Johnny's just ranked him top 10 at the Cats. Is that where you rank his importance? Is he top 5, top 10, top 15? Where you got him?
Oh, he'd be close to top 10. I don't think he's
Sam, he's the best young player.
He's definitely the best young player at the Cats, let alone in the league. But yeah, I'd have to have a bit more of a think. I think he'd probably just crack into the top 10 for me. Sam, best dressed, which is probably the first time that's ever happened though. I think everyone's just a little stunned. I've got sleeves on and my hair's tied up.
I feel like it's a
armpit hair free flowing.
Leftover from your work day, Sam. You just got back from work, chucked the polo on, and sat down straight.
Haven't even been at work, to be honest, John. Can't even. Maybe it's the opposite effect. When I'm at work, the last thing I want to do is another polo.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I just have seen this comment. I don't know if MC Cucklord wants to bring it up, or I can do it myself. I know MC Cucklord just likes to watch, but Flash movie trivia. This is James Podsiadly Erasure saying that Sean Manor is the best Werribee recruit we've ever had. This is not a fight you want to pick, Flash. I'm like the world's biggest James Podsiadly fan. Shawnee Manor's great, but James Podsiadly, I mean, he's in the stained glass window in the chapel of Jake's favourite Geelong players.
Yeah, but if we're talking about young, up and coming recruits, if we're talking about just
fair enough,
plucked from high school the way that Shawnee Manor was, then he's definitely in a league of his own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plucked from the Werribee thirds as he was from the under 18s.
Just like
I've said it before, I'll say it again. That's right. The James Podsiadly fingertip marks. Just plucks it out of the sky. He can pluck me with his fingertips anytime he likes to.
Has someone already cornered the market on a pod? I think we're begging for a Jake specific episode. Well, if you could do an ongoing series, a pod.
A James Podsiadly career retrospective.
Yes. Go through every single game of his career from the start, one a week.
But what you have to do as well is you watch, but every time he touches the ball, you got to review the touch. So you pause it, chat about it for a few minutes.
Get the markers out.
Yeah. Line up what he did well.
It would be even better if I actually actively pursue you, James Pod, to appear on each show to the point where he eventually has me arrested for like stalking. I'm like, James, as I'm put in a straitjacket, I just want to let the people know how good you were. I just want to let them know how good you were. As I'm bundled into a van. Yeah, I think that's got
Premiership
legs,
player.
Sam. Maybe that's a Patreon offering in 2027. James Posey-Adley, career retrospective.
Mate, the numbers will just fly through the roof.
They will.
People are begging
Me,
for a Podsy-Adley pod.
There you go. Flash movie trivia 8736. It says Chris Scott admitted letting J-Pod go was his biggest mistake. Do you know why? Because Jake wrote in about 500 letters to Chris Scott abusing him
poison
for
pen
about
letter.
5 years.
Yeah, some death threats to Chris Scott.
I'm pretty sure there was a few RB threats in there as well. Just, chucked in there.
I swear it was talcum powder, not anthrax. That's
what they all
what do we got? Nav from London. I want to know. Nav from London's.
Are you really from
title
London?
Always comes up in green. It's very different. It's a bit more special in the title.
Spicy.
In the comments.
Why is it green?
Did either of Nevitt or Steve? We'll answer this question in due course. Nav from London. We're going to jump into a few questions in the back half of the show, but let's kick on with. That's enough talk about 2026 rising star potential Sean Manor, best newcomer
and J-Pod.
Yeah. This is not the Werribee podcast. This is the Chaps Chat Cats. And we're talking about Geelong. And tonight we're going to talk about what we have learned through 2 games. We're going to whip through some of these, and I want to hear your comments in the comments about these topics. This is just a chance because the fixture is weird, and the Cats didn't have a game this week, which I hate. So we're going to look at some topics. What have we learned after 2 games of footy? 8 quarters we've seen out of the 2026 Cats so far. I'm going to kick us off here, Chaps, and the chat. And something I have learned through 2 weeks is that more so than ever since we've been doing this podcast, without properly applied defensive pressure, the Geelong Cats in 2026 are an extremely beatable team. And I want both your thoughts on this, but for me, having watched them live against Fremantle and the transformation from, that first quarter to the following 3, it all started around, firstly, a lack of pressure, a lack of defensive cohesion, a lack of defensive application and execution, and then the opposite. Once they turned it on, they looked like themselves. Like, I don't think we can win without being the team that pressures better, basically, particularly not against other really talented teams at the pointy end. But that for me is one. I don't think the Cats are very good if they don't have their pressure game up and running. Chaps, chat.
I think you can basically say that about any team at this point in the season with the way the game's playing. If you don't pressure teams, they're just going to run around like crazy and do what they want. So, yeah, absolutely agree. If we don't apply the pressure, then teams are going to exploit that quite easily, especially the way how quick it moves now as well. Those quick teams can really take the game away from you and make you a middling team. Sort of like Ben is into tipping, I'll say. But yeah, the defensive pressure is not there, then you're going to get found out. And the Cats definitely got found out in the first 5 quarters of the season against Gold Coast and Fremantle. But once we turn it on, we start going really well, and we look like the Cats. So absolutely agree with you, Jake. If we don't put that pressure on, it's pretty easy for teams to score against us.
Yeah. I don't know. It just really stood out. I don't know. Like Sambo and I both said the same thing watching at Kardinia Park. It's just like, geez, if I don't know. I think some sides could. Like, I'm not saying any side can get away with no pressure, but I feel like Geelong more than others bases like the spear tip of their game is based around pressure at the ball carrier, at the clearance, at the stoppage, all those things. Like Brisbane, and there are a couple of other teams, like, yes, of course, every team needs pressure, but, a lot of Brisbane's identity is built around some of their, like, ball movement. And I think too, like, they're intercepting as well with their tools. I think our defensive structure works best when we are pressuring, and maybe that's true of all teams. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts to add to this, Sambo? Is it absolute waffle, or is it more true of the Cats than perhaps some other teams?
I like Sam's.
This is ground control to Major Tom.
Sam.
We're stepping through. I'll probably get copyright strike if we keep singing.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
that it sounds close enough to get copyright strike. Yeah. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on to the next point. Johnny.
Yes.
This is one about yours. This is one of your points about a big forward that we have.
Yes.
So tee us off. What have you learned?
Sam dead. I've learned. Once I bring it up and remind myself what I learned this. Well prepared.
It was a long time ago when you sent that through.
It was. Shannon Neal. He is getting closer to becoming that monster forward that we've been looking for. There's still a fair way for him to go, but I think this last game against Fremantle really showed that he's got that anger, that rage inside of him to really take a game away from opposition. And I think we need to see more of that more rage, that anger, that energy, that ball is mine and I'm going to get it no matter what attitude from him. I feel like that's one of the key ingredients that's missing from his game, is that it's his forward line. It's going to be his forward line eventually. So I would like him to take it over completely as soon as he can, because I think what we saw against Fremantle was really exciting. That rage to get that ball and kick the goals. He kicked 5 goals. Could have had 6. It was a fantastic day. And I think it was part of that rage, that anger. And I feel like when we saw him looking angry, mean, he looked focused and he looked powerful. Looked really powerful. So, yeah, I don't think it's far. Still a way to go, though, for him to be that complete forward line player. But I think we're closer than than he has ever been before. You just got to grab it.
Sambo, thoughts on Sam's like the Undertaker. He went and then he just like rose out of the coffin. Back he came.
Just bring it.
Becoming Reece Stanley.
Just happen again. Am I not?
I can hear him. I can still hear him.
I can't see myself. The reason is because I had to bail because I just lost all sound. I don't know why. Couldn't hear you guys at all. So I purposely left and then came back to reboot it, which seemed to work. I don't know why I dipped out then. I'm assuming you're talking about Shannon Neal. I came in halfway through the conversation. Yes. I'm assuming. That all sounded Johnny's very expert, John.
Oh, thank you.
All right. I want to counter, but tie this in. And it's not a total counter, right? But my point that I wanted to make, something that I have learned through 2 games, and as Mark in the chat says, I think 2 games is really hard to determine what we have learned. I would like to revisit this topic after 5 games. Like, absolutely, Mark. Totally agree there. Like, this is very much 3 podcasters try and find something to talk about. Exactly. That's why we're the experts. We're going to have a go at like what we've learned after 2 weeks. It's not just about churning out Monday night content with regularity.
Experts at guessing.
Yeah, exactly. Duncan Borland says, hey, what's cooking, hairy crew? It is true. We're hairier than ever on this podcast. Yeah. Everyone's hair is growing out. This is what we should look like during COVID. Overgrown, stuck in front of our computers.
We probably did, didn't we?
Yeah, maybe we did. We're still there. Oh God.
God.
So my point I want to make here, something I've learned is that Jeremy Cameron is still of massive importance to this team. Now, I'm not saying we ever thought like, oh, we'll be fine without Jeremy Cameron this year, but I definitely think there was some feeling of like, we're pretty deep up forward now with Danger and, Neil. And I think, we all felt pretty good about what Jack Martin did last year. And maybe Ollie Henry will turn around and this and that. And, we've got smaller players who can get the job done as well. Again, I thought the stark difference between round one or opening round and then round one was like the presence of Jeremy Cameron. And it wasn't just what he did up forward, in kicking his, 3 goals for. It was everything he did around the ground too. And that leads me into the Shannon Neal point. And this is where I want to bat the shuttlecock back to you here, Sambo, to take both points that Johnny and I have offered and make something of it yourself. Shannon Neal has kicked 5 goals 3 times in his career. Last year, he did it against the Western Bulldogs on the same night that Jeremy Cameron kicked 6. He did it last year against GWS. Now, on that night, Jeremy Cameron had a quiet night, 1 goal, 2. But Jeremy Cameron was still in the lineup, played 82% game time. This year, he kicked 5 goals. Jeremy Cameron in the lineup, 3 goals, 4. My question to you, Sambo, as I ask you to sort of come in with the third point here, is where does the truth sit? Is Shannon Neal ready to do the job on his own? Is the team still majorly and perhaps exclusively reliant on Jeremy Cameron in the forward line to function? Or is it somewhere in the middle? Because I think Jeremy Cameron is pretty fucking important. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Shannon Neal's best games tend to come when Jeremy Cameron is still in the team. Oh no. We can see Sambo. We're struggling. This is like Interstellar. This is exactly like Interstellar.
Yes, I agree.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, Jeremy Cameron is still hugely important. I don't think Neil does what he does without Jeremy Cameron there. He's still said he's getting that rage, that anger, and all that's working for him, but he still needs Jeremy Cameron there to help take away that defender from him, because he's not one of those players that can completely overpower a key, like one of the best key defenders in the game in Andrew Harris. He hasn't been in him yet. Hopefully he can this year, but to that point, that's Jeremy Cameron. We still need him in the forward line to help out Shannon Neal, because I don't think we've got another key forward like player that can drag away one of their most important key defenders from an opposition. Jezza will every single game. Like, you're not going to send a second-rate or third-rate defender to Jeremy Cameron. He's just going to make a fool of them. So you're going to send him that best key defender to Jeremy Cameron most times, unless you're Brisbane, which sort of have a fairly decent backline with Andrew Harris and whoever else they've got that can cover Cameron and Neil. So yeah, but as good as Shannon Neal was on against Fremantle, it still was because Jeremy Cameron was there, helping him out, taking away that spare defender, the other defender, really good defender. So yeah, Neil still needs the help. He still needs that mentorship as well. I think Jeremy Cameron can still show and teach and explain things to him that other players won't be able to. So yeah, and Jeremy Cameron's Jeremy Cameron. Like, we're not going to get another Jeremy Cameron at the Cats for a long time. So yeah, he's still hugely important. Just like Dangerfield. These players, they're getting older, but they're still massively important to the team. How we play, how we set up, how we train, how we communicate on the ground, and how they're led.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't disagree at all. There's some comments in the chat, which is interesting. Jackie says middle. I think they played 2 different roles. Jezza plays high up the ground, very important. Shadu says Neil needs to learn to lead and overpower his opponents. That's something we've talked about a lot on the first two recaps of the season. Just Neil's ability, like he needs to marry his use of his ability with the potential of his abilities. You know, his ability to lead and outrun people for his size and power is pretty amazing. So I agree with that. Sarah Robinson says he's very important and must guide them in terms of Jezza Cameron. Duncan says, how do Jezza's games go without another key forward, though? It'd be easier for anyone with a second foil taking some attention. I agree, but in general, if you told me, Duncan, like right now, you've got to be without one of them for one game, Shannon Neal or Jezza Cameron. I'm going to take Jezza Cameron every day. And this isn't to try and like ding Shannon Neal and be like, he's never going to be there. It's just for me learning like through 2 weeks. We're still at that point, and I don't think it's just Shannon Neal that I would say this about, is that Geelong's youngsters, a lot of them, they haven't, no matter how I say this, it's going to sound negative, but I don't mean it negatively, but just like they're not firing their best shots yet, is what I would say. There was some thought going into that opening game of the season against how can I forget who we played in the opening week?
Gold Coast.
Thank you. Gold Coast. You know, we were like, oh, this player will fire. It's their turn to stand up. Oh no, it'll be this player. This player will fire. There was like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 that we listed as like going, all right, no Danger, no Jez, no Tyson Stengel. It's time for these guys to stand up, and none of them really did. And that's not an indictment of where they can get to, but it's an acceptance of the reality of probably where they are right now. And that is they're very, very good, but we're still really relying on Jeremy Cameron, less so Patrick Dangerfield. I thought that was promising that Danger didn't have a big game against Freo. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that we're still waiting for that next batch to really put it on their shoulders. And at the moment, I think Jez still holds a massive, massive weight of responsibility in the forward line. Sambo's back.
Definitely.
For now.
What do you think on this topic, Sambo? Before we lose you again, like, what do you think here?
Very fractured bits and pieces. It sounds like you guys have covered. I don't know if I have anything super insightful to add on top of what you guys are saying. I think you're right. I think Shannon Neal's looking good. I think Shannon Neal's, he's starting to sort of, scratch the surface, pun intended. But yeah, as you say, if you had to put money on a bag from Jezza or Neal, if you know what I mean, if you had to put your money behind a horse for a game at the moment, obviously you're still on Jezza, but it's just natural. It's it's where they're at in their careers. I don't disagree with anything you lads have been saying.
Yeah,
nice.
All right. Where else have we got to go here with points? Johnny, you proposed this one, and I think you and Sam can chop this up. Is Tom Atkins the new Danger in terms of being the raging bull of Geelong's midfield?
I'll let Sam go first, just in case something happens to Sam, so I'll let him lead this one off.
Nothing to say. It won't happen during me talking. I actually don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's internet. I don't know if it's physical, because I can hear everything else. I just can't hear you guys talking. It's very strange.
Weird.
I was in the text chat at the time. Can you repose the question to me, please,
sure.
Jake? While I try to orientate myself back into the podcast.
The question here is, this is what AFL. This is what happens when you have opening round. We have to deal with a round 3 situation where we don't have a game, and we have to it throws everything out. The question, or what Johnny posed, was: is Tom Atkins the new Dangerfield in terms of being the raging bull of Geelong's midfield? I don't know if it's a direct comp in terms of ceiling or legacy or anything like that, but just in terms of being the raging bull. What do you think about this statement?
I think physically and talent wise he could be. I think the team might need him to be, because I don't know who else is going to do it. The only thing that I would question is mentality based. And so this isn't I don't know if mentality is the right word. Personality based. Like I think Tom Atkins is a great footballer. I think he's a really courageous footballer. I think he's a really good leader. He's great at setting an example. He's great telling people where they've got to be, as we saw watching live. He, when the game was going well and when it wasn't going well, he was barely if he wasn't gut running for the ball, he was shouting at the other midfielders, sometimes both at the same time. So I think all of that is what he brings to the table now. To be a Dangerfield, I think it would take a slightly different switch in his brain. I don't think it's just about them saying, "Oh, that's your role now," or it's anything like that. Like I actually do think he would need to really take that on. Like you've got to have a little more arrogance than I think Atkins has. And I mean this in a good way. I don't mean Dangerfield's arrogant in a bad way. I mean Dangerfield's arrogant in a that's mine kind of way. I'm going to do this thing. I think Tom Atkins is all about the team. He does what's needed, but I don't know if he's got that little bit of the team needs this. And I also really want this glory. Like I think, do you know what I mean? Like I think Tom Atkins is almost too selfless to be that guy that's like getting in team, because that's what Dangerfield is. He's getting in teammates' way sometimes because he's like, I am going to be more effective than you right now, and he's played long enough to the point where he's probably right most of the time. Same when he's crashing packs, he's getting in Shannon Neal's way sometimes. He's when he's in the midfield, he doesn't care whose legs he's diving at to get the ball. So I don't know. I guess I don't know if that's a really like dancing around an official answer, but basically, I think Tom Atkins definitely could, but I think it would take a switch inside of himself to go. I am that guy, and I only feel it in terms of from a personal note with the other football, the round football. Like we've been playing social soccer, and I've been having a lot of fun the last few weeks just trying to score goals. As a goalkeeper, back when we played in actual competitions and stuff, I was always a goalkeeper. If I wasn't the goalkeeper, I'd be brought out and put in the middle probably. And you made a comment, you're like, why'd you never play up forward one day to me? And I was like, I don't think I had that thing. I don't think, like, I'm really enjoying it now because it's fun and we're all supporting each other and you can kind of show off a bit. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong, blah, blah, blah. But I can I'm not putting myself in the same category as Atkins. Atkins is obviously a much more courageous person than me and a much more adept footballer. But I think I recognize that kind of like, I don't think I was ever the guy that was going to be like, no, I'm taking that free kick. Do you know what I mean? If another player was like, I'll take the free kick, I was never going, nah, fuck off, this is mine. I would do it if the team needed me to do it and someone asked me to do it, I would do anything. But yeah, I just don't know if I see that from Atkins. It's official. Does that make it any degree of sense? Like I do think physically he could. I think he is that ball.
That's where I was sort of at as well. It's like, is he the new, like, just in terms of that player to sort of lift that team on his shoulders and send them forward and get them forward? It's like, is he that type of player? And this wasn't, in my mind, I was like, is he? I wasn't really 100% sure either. But I think the way you put it about the arrogance and this is my time to shine, my time to go. Yeah, I think you're right there. I think he's just lacking that selfish tendencies that those star players tend to have of going, that's mine, I'm getting it, get the F out of my way. I think he's more of that, very much, he's growing up as that team player, that guy who's going in there to help out the team. So I feel like
I think
I
it
feel
would
like
feel
he's-
wrong to him. I think it would feel
I
wrong
think
to
so,
him
yeah.
himself to do it sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like, yeah, I'm the same as you. I think he, if he was able to switch it around and be that selfish player and just go, I'm getting that, he could easily do it quite well, and I think he'll excel at it. But yeah, I agree with you. I just don't think he's got that tendency to be
I think
selfish.
if Scotty sat him down and said, "We need you to be this X, Y, and Z," like I think he could rise to the occasion. Whether he would be
Definitely.
as good as Dangerfield, because it's always going to be
I
like a
don't-
little bit. It's going to be an unnatural fit. But I think that's what it would take. I don't think he's going to do it just because he thinks he should. I think it would take someone in the leadership group or the coaching panel to go, we need you to do less of this that you're doing now and more of this thing here.
And I think the good thing about the team is we don't need him to be that player because we do have other players. But I feel like he's just got that tendency to could be that player. He's got the same sort of like body build, like sort of, not saying that Dangerfield's short because he's bloody fairly tall, about as tall as me. Just a lot bulky. He looks like just like a tank. Ats is like a tank. So I think he's got the body for it, and I reckon he could do it. But yeah, it's that idea of being that selfish player. I just don't think he's got it in him. I think he's too much of that team first idea, which is probably what makes him such a good player. He's doing it for the team, and maybe that's where he could be that Dangerfield type player going, I'll do this for the team and put myself in the harm's way to get this ball out for the team.
He's I was just having a look at his last 5 years. For Tom Atkins, he is averaging 7.4 tackles per game across the last 5 years and 4.3 clearances as well, which is nice numbers. He always averages like about 9. If you averaged him out, about 19 touches per game across the last 5 years. So, like, not a high disposal getter, but like really high tackle numbers and really decent clearance numbers. You know what I'm going to take us back to? Duncan just said statistical games, but not seen to have won the game for the team. I'm going to assume you're talking about Atkins, and I would dispute that. There's been a couple of games. 2022 against Richmond, he was the player that won the clearance that got us in that shot for Jack Henry late. Same year, Port Adelaide, late in the season, I believe, down at Cardinia Park, needed somebody to stand up in the final term after they'd surged in the third quarter, and I'm almost certain it was Atkins who got us going in the middle. I do have some games banked away in my memory of Tom Atkins really getting us over the line, or at least putting us in position to get over the line. I'm going to go back to another theory, as Shadu just says, hi, everyone. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the Hoops Crew channel for more content, and join us for premium footy bants on Discord. Thanks, Shadu. You're absolutely right. Please smash that like button. We want it. We want it. Jackie Mack backs up my memory, so that's nice to know that I don't have early onset dementia, particularly given how rampant that fucking disease is in my family. So yes, 2022 v Port Adelaide, insane last quarter. So yes, I'm glad that was identified. I think what I would take us back to is our old Ragnar Lothbrok theory. If anyone's familiar with the TV show of Vikings, this was a theory that I believe Sam first coined back when Joel Selwood retired. The question was raised, how do we replace Joel Selwood? Spoiler alert if you haven't watched Vikings. Ragnar, the main lead of the show, turn it off now if you don't want to hear the spoiler, gets killed off.
If you know your history.
Yeah.
Right.
Seasons,
you know it's coming.
Yeah.
they give old Ragnar the chop. And so then thereafter the show tries the snake bite, yeah. Thereafter the show tries to replace Ragnar, and they do it using his sons. They basically have the 4 sons or 5 sons or whatever it is, and they split Ragnar's character traits across each of the sons. And this was Sam's theory about you don't replace Joel Selwood with one person. You can't. It's impossible. You've got to replace him with 4 or 5 different players that represent his skill sets and characteristics. Each one representing a facet. That's how I feel about Dangerfield. And I think it was Flash earlier said something about Max Holmes is that player. He's the next Dangerfield. I don't think that's entirely true. I don't think Max Holmes will ever be the type of physical player that Dangerfield is, but he does have that speed to break a game open in terms of his pure pace and his long kicking to take the game on. I think Johnny's identified a facet of it with his Tom Atkins talk, that Tom Atkins physically will impose himself in violent ways. Not exactly like Dangerfield, but there's a facet of it. And so you sort of go, okay, this is what it's about. We're recreating the impact of an all-time, demigod legacy player. And the only way you can do that is in pieces, because you're not going to get another Dangerfield. So, Flash said, Maxi was more that guy than Atkins. And I think they both represent parts of it. They both represent parts of what we now lack with Dangerfield not able to go on ball. They're filling the role. You're filling it with different people. And you know what? Maybe the me bit that Danger brings, the arrogance that is really important to have because you need someone to want the moment. Maybe that's exactly what Bailey Smith is. Bailey Smith is that part. Bailey Smith is the celebrity part that's going to draw the headlines and the big moment. So I think we're piecing together, instead of having one player that's Dangerfield, you've got 3 or 4 players that are Dangerfield.
I think I still think it makes so much sense. Like, obviously, we've never replaced Selwood, but we've gone on to be a functioning football team still without Selwood. And you go, like, correct. I don't think any team ever does. Like, you feel in the moment when those players leave or retire or whatever, you do feel like, who will replace this player? Who will replace that? But then you sort of, the more it happens, you realize that it doesn't happen. You never replace that player with one person. The team has to operate differently. You've got to orbit around different sort of superstars. Like, obviously, the biggest one in the room here is Gaz Jr. No one is under the impression that we ever got a replacement for him. No, but we didn't. We didn't stop functioning as a football team, but we became a very different team. We found other elements that were going to be the linchpins, the Jenga player that you could build your tower around.
We got Joel Selwood, basically. He became that next player, and then same as Dangerfield, same as Jeremy Cameron, same as Tom Stewart. You don't replace those players because they're basically, you can't just bring in another Dangerfield. You can't bring in another Dangerfield. They just got to find ways to fill those voids that they leave.
Does Tom Stewart lead us nicely into your next point, Jake?
Tom Stewart does lead us nicely into our next point, and maybe Jackie Mack will take this as an opportunity to do an A- victory lap around Tom Stewart. You don't have to, Jackie, because both things can be true at once.
2 games.
Tom Stewart can be an A grader, and this can also be true. But Jack Henry, Chaps, in my opinion, has quietly ascended to being Geelong's best defender. Your thoughts? Because it's certainly true for me right now. If you said to me, you can have the balls coming in, 1-on-1, you can pick any player to be on the game's most dangerous forward. Who do you want? Jack Henry, for me.
Yeah, I think I'm still taking Stewart, obviously, as an intercept. Like, I think Stewart, that's the one thing. Stewart's still like the roaming interceptor. I don't know if anyone will ever be as good. Again, like Gary Ablett, like Joel Selwood, like Dangerfield. That's a thing that I think Stewart does better than anybody in the game. And I think, you won't necessarily ever find that. So I'd love to see if you've got, which I'm assuming being you probably do, Jake, some stats to back this up. But like, it does, like, I would agree. I would agree. I don't think I had thought about it in those terms, But as soon as you posed it to us like that, like, has he quietly become the Cats' best defender? And that very scenario, if it's a one-on-one situation, you get to pick which of our defenders is going to be in that one-on-one for the game-winning moment. Yeah, I think it's Jack Henry.
In terms of stats
Yeah.
here, just before you make your stab at it, Johnny, he leads the team for spoils this year. Jack Henry, he is right up near the top with intercept marks. There's a glut of players, all on sort of 2 and 3 intercept marked. He is, if you look at just intercepts, he's third in intercepts. So Sam's hit the money on the head there. Tom Stewart is still the intercept king at Geelong. But for me, Johnny, it's the all-rounder. I think Jack Henry is the best all-round defensive player that we have in terms of, the bigger guys, the key position blokes.
While Johnny chats, what are his defensive one-on-one stats so far this year?
All right, I'll have a look.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jack Henry is just that very consistently good player. Like he's been one of those players that just flies under the radar for so many people in the league. Like he's so consistently good. And someone did bring it up saying he's just consistent every single game. What you're going to get from Jack Henry. He'll make a couple of mistakes here and there, but he'll turn it around really quickly and do something just extraordinary. And I think that's sort of like the curse of the defenders. Like they can do some really great things and then, don't get talked about much, especially for the Cats. And then he can also go forward, kick goals. Like he's probably one of those few defenders that can go forward and kick a lot of goals. So yeah, it'll be a tough one between Tom Stewart and Jack Henry for me, but it depends who it is. Depends what type of player it is. I think Jack Henry against those more taller, agile guys, I think Jack Henry has them. And then it's sort of those shorter, smaller guys, I think Tom Stewart can pretty much outmuscle any of them. So yeah, sort of depends. And then I think Duncan said something about Tom Stewart and Tasmania. No, didn't hurt me at all because Tom Stewart will be 35 by the time they come in. He's going to be a Cat till he finishes his career. Why would you move to Tasmania when he's grown up in Geelong his entire life? Like he may get a chunk of money, but yeah, I don't see it happening. I think Tom Stewart would rather retire than go down there.
I wouldn't begrudge him though. There's certain players I would begrudge. Yeah. But if they offered him an absolute
like $2 million
of money, if they were like, we'll back a truck up to your house and tip the bills out, like he's given us so much that I'd go, yeah, that's like, go and play 2 years at Tassie for $1 million a year. Like, I couldn't hold it against him. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he will.
And just to add to that, he's probably been my favorite player over the last 10 years, pretty much since he's come into the side. Like he quickly became a favorite. I'm the same boat. Wouldn't begrudge him if he did. I don't think he will, but if he did, I'd cheer for him. I'd be happy for any success he had. And yeah, would not be I would not be nasty or bitter. I'd be sad because you want to see great players retire in the Guernsey you've watched them play their whole career in. But I'm with you boys. I wouldn't begrudge him. But yeah, I just think Chaps, I think just Jack Henry is really good. I just think he's really, really good. And I think he's, at the peak of his powers. Is there anything else either of you want to talk about? Because if not, I'll throw to some listener thoughts.
I think we kind of covered my stuff. I was going to raise some stuff about Max Holmes, but I think we sort of touched on it in the Dangerfield chat. Like, I don't think it would be particularly interesting to raise my points. Like, it's not necessarily we didn't talk about it in the specific way I was thinking, but I think it's kind of been touched on. So I don't really have anything else.
Pretty good.
All right. Well, sweet. Let's get into some topics from the listener. And by the way, I don't know if you chaps saw any of it. I watched the highlights package of Tassie playing their first VFL game. Good crowd at that more slightly suburban / metro arena that they were playing in. Great crowd. They did win. They won their first game of VFL footy. I believe it was against Coburg. Good on them. And you know what? I'm thrilled because unlike the Gold Coast and GWS, which is sort of the AFL's way of plugging in an abomination baby, into a market that doesn't want it. There's something parasitic about it. Tassie wants a team. And it looked like they were absolutely fucking thrilled. I know there's something a bit alien about Gold Coast and GWS, the old face hugger thing. The GWS
the old cuckoo bird.
Yeah, exactly.
The mum comes home to the nest and goes, "Huh, I was sure I left 6 small babies here, and now I have one large one."
They must have merged.
This must happen.
Yeah,
I didn't read that in the mother's handbook.
Yeah.
So yes, no. Kudos to Tassie. I actually, for one, I'm glad they've got a team. That's good. Good for the game.
Yeah.
All right. Let's have a look at some listener stuff. Speaking of Tassie, Shadu says the Dakai, Nick and Josh Dacos were spotted in Tasmania with their dad. Start your speculation. We would. I'm affronted at the suggestion that we would speculate.
Nick Dacos are going to Tasmania. It's done.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
No speculation required.
No speculation. Like at the end of this year, they're off to Tasmania to play VFL.
Yep. No, hang on. I thought Nick. I thought Nick was coming over to the Cats for maybe a year or two, and to brush up at a real team, and then he's going to go to Tasmania.
Yeah. All right. Now here. Michael Trippin Ford 26, not to be confused with Michael Trippin Ford 28, said VFL Cats had a great win. They did indeed. Absolutely beat the brakes off Essendon. Haven't watched it yet, but we'll be watching it. Sambo and I are both meant to be watching it and recapping it for the twos during this week. But during that game, and this is another question from Shadu. Did Ollie Henry show enough in the VFL to make his AFL return? Tyson is back training by Jess's account. Is looking great. Here's the stats. As I said, we haven't watched the VFL yet, but we're going to watch it back in full. Chaps, Ollie Henry kicked 5 goals, 2, grabbed 4 marks, laid 3 tackles on the weekend. Again, we haven't watched the performance. It was in a blowout. I don't know what the context of the goals were. Whether they were once the other team was dead and buried, whether it was early on when the game was competitive, don't know. But I'm throwing you the stat line of Ollie Henry, 5 goals, 2, 4 marks, 3 tackles. What do you think? Are you emboldened to put him in the team?
Not yet. I think he needs to back it up again in another VFL game, maybe another 2, just to really get that confidence going up again. I think bringing him straight back into AFL against Adelaide. They've got some fairly competent defenders. I think just leave him in the VFL. Make sure that confidence really is flying high for when he does get back in the AFL side. He looks like himself again. I think one good game. You sort of want to have at least 1 or 2, 3 good games in a VFL where he can back up both that one game, this game, and then back it up again the next game against another team and get another 4 or 5 goals, and then do it again just to really cement. He is a good player. He can dominate the VFL. Now he can go and show us in the AFL.
Do you think that makes things more complicated if you hold him off and he has another great game, and then say the following week Stengel and Ollie Henry's pushing for selection because he's had two games with bags, and now Tyson Stengel's pushing for his return. If Stengel's not ready this week, would it be nice to see Ollie Henry again at AFL level before we're comparing, before we're tossing up between him and Tyson?
Oh,
I think there could be some
just-
truth to that.
I still say hold him back because
yeah, okay.
Jack Martin. I think Jack Martin can be one of those players that you rest quite easily. Dangerfield still not 100%, but yeah, I don't know. Like I still think you're holding back in the VFL for a bit longer.
Yeah, it's always hard to know what
I'm just trying to have a look.
what they're going to think, obviously behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But I feel like Ollie Henry is going to be that guy that goes back and kicks a bag in VFL, and like just maybe can't can't crack it back in above the the preferred 23 sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be surprised either way, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree either way either. Like, it may even be helpful to go, we'll go out there again against a really good side in Adelaide and try and make an impact, try and do something. But yeah, I'm assuming Tyson's not like pushing for this week.
Yeah, no. Tyson's still ages away, still a while away. I'm just afraid that if we bring him back and he struggles, it's just gonna really enforce that his confidence is down in the AFL. It's just gonna make it even worse. So I say keep him in the VFL, get that confidence like high as possible, where he's just dominating that forward line, and then when he comes back into AFL, he's got that good feeling about himself that he can play well, and then he'll play more on instinct than worrying about what he's going to do in the game and how he's like, does he go up for this mark, or where do I kick it from here? Like, I feel like he's too in his own head in the AFL at the moment to have that really positive impact. So I think he needs to go back and just play on instinct.
It's an interesting one. Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6307, of course, not to be confused with Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6308. Said Henry played well, but the other forwards made it easy for him. I thought Polkinghorne looked better, except his wayward kicking. As I said, haven't got to watch the VFL yet. Going to get to that this week. I still think, regardless of how Polkinghorne looks, regardless of how Henry looks, like for me, it's Henry who's got the credits in the bank. Henry's the only one of the two who's shown he can do it at the level. So if you're going this week, we've got to bring Henry or Polkinghorne in. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. You bring Henry in. Because this is exactly the sort of game that I was hoping to see from Henry early in the VFL season. One of those games where instead of kicking 3 goals 4, he kicks 5 goals 2 from his, his 7 shots at goal. It's interesting too how the timing lines up. Their next game is this Friday, the VFL this is, against the Hawks. Box Hill are like, I can't remember the last time Geelong VFL beat Box Hill. They're absolute brutes. So, like, as far as confidence building, it'll be real interesting to see how that forward line goes. Shadu and others also made the point in this chat, Reece Stengel. Like, Stengel's going to have to come back through the VFL, surely. He's not going to come straight back to AFL. He's going to have to play a game at least of VFL footy. So I think there is a runway where we can have our cake and eat it too, potentially, that maybe you don't have to bring, maybe you play. And this with the interesting things, chaps, is the way this week works. We've got we've got Thursday night against Adelaide at Kardinia Park, and then the next night, Friday night, we've got VFL footy again. So, we're going to have to make that decision ASAP as to whether we want to give Ollie Henry a go. I wouldn't change too much from the lineup from the weekend. Maybe you give Ollie the game against the Hawks, and if he plays well, he plays the Hawks again on Easter Monday. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we were talking about has he done enough to impress? I guess we didn't really lay out a scenario of they're resting Dangerfield or Martin. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it becomes a different conversation. If that question was, we're going to rest Dangerfield for a week, I think Ollie Henry's back in then. Do you disagree? Like, I think.
I agree with that.
I'm 100% I'm 100% in agreement with John. Now that I frame it and think to myself, well, are we literally saying has he forced his way in over somebody? then like John's saying, that's a no. But he is the next one.
He's the next. He's the next one, definitely.
So,
It's
and
like-
I wouldn't be surprised if he's stuck there for a while. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just feel like he may be the bridesmaid all year.
I think that's where this bye's probably played a disadvantage to Ollie Henry, because all the players have had that extra week off.
Yeah,
It's not really like we need to rest anyone, because they've all had a rest and they've all played fairly well. So unless there's a player carrying some slight injury or whatever, I think he'll stay in the VFL another week, unless someone needs to come out for certain reasons. Then obviously in the forward line, Ollie Henry will be that next player in.
Yeah,
Everyone's saying close to the
I think
twos. No.
I know there's been a lot of talk about should Brad Close be dropped? I don't know. Brad Close was really good on the weekend. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I thought not the weekend, the game before. I thought he was a good contributor against Freo, but maybe statistically it doesn't show up. I don't know.
I'm just going to ignore all the close talk from now on. They're not the experts, we are. Listen to us.
The experts at talking out our ass. I was just going to have a quick look. Brad Close stats this season. Where are we at? Shit, like he's pretty on par with what he was last year, really. He's 12 and a half touches a game, 2.5 marks. He's averaging career best goal assists. He's slightly down on his goal kicking output. Tackling's pretty much the same. Yeah, I don't know. He's very much on par with what he's been the last few seasons. So if you don't like that, then maybe. Actually, what the heck?
Close is one of those players. If he's not in the side, you notice pretty starkly that he's not in the side.
Just realised Brad Close isn't. His stats aren't on AFL tables. I was looking at 2025. So to be fair, I need. To be fair,
he's lodged no recordable stats this year.
Yeah, maybe I meant to email it.
Chaps, 100% right.
They were right. All.
It's like Brad Close. Oh, here we go. Oh boy. Yeah, it's not good. Send him into the twos.
Luckily, the cuckold is
boys,
left.
I'm actually really surprised. This is one of those moments where the stats don't match what I thought I'd seen with my eyes. This cannot be right. Surely he has 12 touches for the year, 12 disposals and 2 tackles for the year. Gosh,
the tackles is a tough one because of that whole like what registers it as a tackle. Like watching it live, you saw how many times he got hands on a player, but like if they got a disposal out, which the whole team was sucking at, to be fair, it wasn't just him, but like I don't necessarily think he was one of the guys that then was able to execute at a high level after the switch up. Like I think his pressure was was good still, but like you see a player running their guts out and grabbing people, and you kind of put it in your bank as a good tackling performance. But if they can't prevent the oppo from getting a disposal, then it's not a tackle. So, it doesn't shock me that much. I guess the tackle one probably shocks me more than the disposal one. Like he's not a player that I've seen necessarily with ball in hand a lot, but it's also only 2 games. It's hard to get a good canvassing. Like again, talking about Ollie Henry with credits in the bank. Close has a lot of credits in the bank. if we get to like not even a month in, because a month in we will have only played 3 games because of the goddamn bye. If we get to 4 games and his stats are he's averaging 6 touches and a tackle, I think we've got some discussion points.
I was going to bring up the same thing. Like he's got those credits in the bank to give him some leeway to go, hey, we'll give you this amount of time to work through these issues that you're having. Like get your long sleeves back on. Well, first.
Yeah, the lack of sleeves lost us the game. We all know that. We heard that on the radio on our way to the back to the crib to watch it, and our hearts sank.
Yeah, but correct, man. Right. He's got those credits in the bank. Let him find his form back, and if he can't, then
Let him suck for a bit longer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what she said. All right, let's.
Or he.
It's
It's 2026.
I just thought of that meme you sent.
My apologies. Yeah, definitely don't bring it up on the podcast.
Share it right now.
Oh,
Screen
it's for the
share
private
it
chat,
right
John.
now.
So do you want to host for the show like next week? It's not actually that bad. What was I going to talk about? We had Close didn't wear sleeves against. There was another point I was going to bring up here that someone had said. This was an interesting one from Flash. Said Ollie is strictly an opportunistic forward. I don't think structurally he's in the best 23, but he's there for cover. Interesting. I guess that strikes me as interesting. Going like, I thought some of our forward line, like, we needed that opportunism, but maybe Flash would, sort of back that point up with saying maybe there are other better opportunistic players already in the team. You know what? But this makes me think Ollie Henry is Bailey Fritsch if Bailey Fritsch was actually a forward. I sometimes look at Bailey Fritsch and go, you're not a forward player. How have you just kicked 4 goals? I've always thought they were a little bit similar.
Yeah, I also do think we forget how good Ollie Henry was, how dependable Ollie Henry was not so long ago. Like, we're looking at him at his performance now. We're looking at his performance now, and we're contrasting it with his really down and unfortunate year last year. It's tough to take it all into account that he was one of those players for me in the previous season. So what are we looking at? 2024, I think it was. Yeah. Remember that game he had against Brisbane in the prelim? Like, he was one of those players that he wasn't kicking 6 goals a game, but you could like bet your house he was going to kick 2. You know what I mean? And like I know that's like. And that's not, you can't say, well, that's not enough to keep you in over Neil and Cameron. And you go, well, none of us are talking. That's not, like, I guess I'm looking at that the opportunistic angle on him being an opportunistic player and him not being the best 23. In every football club, if you're lining the players up and you're going to go, we're going to go for an arm wrestling competition. The 23 guys that are out there aren't the 23 that are necessarily going to be the best at arm wrestling. If you then go, we're going to have a race and have, all of our players in the club. I know I'm getting a little out there, but I'm just saying, like, you can't just take a guy that's good at football, like the number 1 guy at football in your team. He's your number 1 pick. And then the number 2 guy at football, at all of football, is your number 2 pick. Like, that's why, like, positionally speaking, I think, Ollie Henry might not win at any metrics. He might not be in the top 23 in every metric. But if he can get to the point where he's in the best 23 at taking 4 marks and kicking 2 to 3 of those through the big sticks, I think that's all that matters. That's all that we've got to look at for his game. Personally, he's that auxiliary forward that the best forward has gone to. The best defender has gone to Cameron. The second best defender has gone to Neil. Someone else. I mean, that's not even Kane Dangerfield. Depending on if Dangerfield's forward or if he's having a rest or in the middle or whatever. And then you've got the smalls like Stengel that are going to cause trouble for the smaller defenders. Like that auxiliary, that extra forward that can come in and assist those guys with just 2 or 3 goals, I think is actually a vital component, even if he's not the fastest, strongest, tallest, most athletic. If that's what he can do, then he gets in the side. But I guess that's all I'm looking at. He wasn't doing that last year, and that's why we're having the conversation.
Yeah. Flash offered up the comment here about the big thing against Ollie is we don't rely on him to stop the exits out of forward 50. He doesn't roam upfield like our other small forwards to help overload the midfield. I mean, he gets up on the wing occasionally as a marking option, but I generally agree with your point. And defensively, I would agree with you. I think that is something where, you look at his tackle numbers. Ironically, his best tackling year at the Cats was last year when his goal kicking was down. He averaged 1.8 tackles. I think, his defensive pressure could lift a little bit. I thought you saw him try to do that in the twos last year when he was dropped there. But I don't know. It's probably plenty of Ollie Henry talk.
His defensive efforts are good. Like I think you said it well, Jake, when you were like, he looks like a kid out there, and I think that's when he looks like a kid when he's not on the ball, like when he's playing defensively. I don't question his effort, but it's like it doesn't look like he's ever been trained to lay a tackle. Like his hair's flying in the wind and he's running his guts out and he's throwing his body in the general direction of the opposition player with the ball, but it never looks like it's going to affect them in any kind of real way.
Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6307, not to be mistaken, of course, for Ocker O'Keefe, Gary 6308, says George Stephens has got to be the stiffest player at Geelong. Mobility wise, I'm sure Sam agrees. The other aspects, we're not sure. Again, haven't got to watch the VFL game yet. There's a few people saying they want my perspective on George Stephens. Haven't watched the game yet, but let me just throw a stat line at you, chaps. Stephens starts the year in the VFL with 34 disposals at 85% efficiency, 8 clearances, 11 score involvements, and a goal. Just blind review. You're picking on a stat line. Would you have any inkling or desire at all to put George Stephens into the team over anyone who lined up in our midfield last weekend?
No.
I would like to see him in the team, but I don't think he'll find a way in just yet.
I think the biggest thing is the stiffness, and like we've just seen a game where we've gone, oh man, pressure is football right now. If you can't chase and get into position quickly and effectively and lay tackles and cut off opposition chains, then you are the worst of the two teams on the field that day. So yeah, of the team that went out last week or the week before, sorry, keep making that mistake. I don't see how we can carry someone in the midfield that can't like put that part of the game. Yeah, can't chase and tackle. Like you might have been able to get by with it once upon a time. You might be able to get by with a forward that can't run like Hawkins. Like there's ways around it, but and so I don't know what the answer is because like John, I would love to see him in the team. I really like him. I love when he does what he does well, and I love that. But I think the lack of defensive ability is too much of a liability at the moment. Looking at just these first few rounds, it's everything. It's absolutely everything at the moment.
Do you know what I'll just offer here, chaps? And this is something that I've just been thinking about recently. As I get as part of, if anyone on here isn't part of the Hoops Crew Patreon, please do jump on, start a 7-day free trial, because if you start a 7-day free trial, you can listen to my hour and 20-minute VFL season preview. And I looked at, I don't know, it must have been like 20 players who I thought would be playing a fair bit of VFL footy for the Cats this year, while also trying to get into the A team. And while I was coming up with my profile for George Stephens, I was thinking about this defensive pressure thing, and I think it's a big criticism of him in terms of his speed, his ability to cover the ground, that part of defensive pressure. But what I would say in his favor, and whether you could carry him in the team for this, and the other things he does, but specifically talking about the defensive pressure part, he is very good defensively around stoppages, which I think is an area where we've still been struggling. So yes, you might not get as much ground coverage, but I'm going to throw it out there. Would I prefer to see James Worpel at the stoppage, or would I prefer to see George Stevens at the stoppage? I would like to see George Stevens at the stoppage.
The question was the team last game, though, which didn't include Worpel.
Yes.
If
That's fair. That's fair.
You all know that if Worpel is in the conversation, you know what I'm going to say.
Don't change the subject, Jake.
I think. All right. So that's what I think. That's what I think.
Shifting the
when we talk about
yeah.
George Stevens' defensive pressure, I would just say that. Yes, you got to talk about it in those two parts. Does he cover the ground with speed? Do I worry about him getting caught out on the counter-attack, lacking for leg speed? Yes, 100%. Do I think he would be an upgrade defensively around stoppages, even on some of those players from last week? Yes. Do I think that's enough to put him in the team over the guys starting last week? Probably not. Probably not. Right?
But that's a bit like Ollie Henry, he might be the next one to try. Like, yeah. It probably depends. It does depend who else we've got in there too. Because if we've got, if Stanley's in the ruck, I don't think we can cover another guy that can't run. Yeah. So I don't think we can have Stevens and Stanley say. But if we've got Edwards or if Blixars is having to do the ruck work, and we know how good Blixars is then on the return sort of thing, like moving after the uppies, then I think you could probably carry Stevens in there for what he does in immediately around the stoppage. So yeah.
Yeah, and about 3 comments in a row here from Jackie, Flash, and Ocker O'Keefe, just saying like George Stevens' hands absolutely fast as lightning. Like there is no doubt there are huge plus sides. Like I said, I've watched him for like 2.5, 3 years, whatever it's been. Like I'm totally with the chat. There are so many things to like about his game.
So am I, to be fair. I did say I love what he does well.
Yeah. I don't think we're trying to be negative or trying to be George Stevens haters, but you have to be realistic about sometimes and again, I'm not saying this is George Stevens, but players can have a fatal flaw. It can be sad, but just sometimes environmentally, the context of the game at where it's at in any given era, you might just have a flaw that's, like I think about guys like maybe in the 80s. Could you have gotten away with being an absolute tiny rake of a player? Could someone, I don't know, could Brad Close have lined up at the same size and weight as he is now in like the 80s playing footy? I don't know. Someone who watched it might be able to tell me, but I think, the prerequisites for playing the game at different levels in different eras, the goalposts do change. And I think right now the game is so much about speed, you would have to worry a bit about Stevens' lack of it. Gosh, there's so many questions in the chat and so many talk in the chat. Absolutely love it. Thanks for contributing, guys. But we've got a couple more to move on from, and then we've got to get out of here. So we've talked about Stevens, but Nav from London did also say, did Nevitt do enough? I think this is going to be a bit the same sort of boat. I'll read you his stat line, chaps. Nevitt ended up with 33 touches, 5 marks, 2 tackles, 8 clearances. Almost threw up in my mouth there. He went at 78.8% disposal efficiency.
It's the mention of Essendon.
Yeah, exactly. I was almost throwing up from all the supplements. Yeah, what do you think? Like, again, does that stat line jazz you up to get Mitch Nevitt back in the side, or is it like, show me more, son?
Show me more, son. Show me more, son.
Yeah, I think we need to see more.
Yeah, I think he's in the same boat. We'll try not to sort of spend too much on every question, but I think he's in the same boat he's in the same boat, but in a more in shakier waters than like Henry, is that he's been there a long time and he has not earned a lot of credit. So I think from what we've seen when he plays at the AFL level, sort of balancing that against what he provides at the VFL level, I think you'd need to see a significant uptick even on what he's doing in the VFL to really warrant him, again, getting in over the top of somebody. This is all without like We're just talking about this is a selection table. We're not talking about with injuries. Obviously, if the right injuries or suspensions happen, anybody can can get in the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Agree. We've got one more question starred here. Now, Ben, I don't know if MC Cucklord is still watching the video live or not, but Ben had a brilliant proposal for a massive topic about how to fix opening round. And I'm happy to get into it, but I'm also
Shoot
kind
it
of
into
feeling
space.
like, yeah, opening round to kill it.
Yeah,
Have everyone
I
play
actually
opening round.
bucket of oats, bullet in the head.
put it behind the screen. I think I was going to say yes, please. I'll have a bucket of oats. Not so much the bullet. In
That's
the
the
head
point. That's the point, Jake.
Yeah,
you fell for it. You've been led behind the sheds.
Back and to the left.
Yummy!
Oats.
I love oats.
Was that a gun popping?
Yeah.
All right. So I think the my point about bringing this up for Ben's opening round video is that there's a lot of detail here in the notes, Ben. I think it would be better for, like, I want a breakout video of Ben presenting this, because this is a whole idea about how to fix something that, in our opinion, as the Chaps, is clearly fucking broken. I don't buy into this unfair advantage business. That bit doesn't bother me. It's the fan experience for me of this weird broken ass start to the season. So, I'm going to put it out there. Maybe I would like to see Ben do the video. I was the one who said, yes, we'll chat about it in hours, sure. But now, having actually seen you lay your thoughts out in the notes, Ben, I think the community, I think it would be a disservice to your notes and your idea for us to try and get through them in like 10 minutes and not do service to the idea, because you've clearly gone to a lot of effort to put in a solution to something that's pretty fucked up. So I'll table that, and the chat, please give Ben some love when he puts his video out too, if he has the time to do it. He's a busy man. We do have another thought here from Mark. And if you've got any other questions you want us to answer, we've got about 5 minutes left, so chuck them in the chat and I'll try and get to them before we get out of here. But Mark says, I think we've also learned that Tanner was sadly missed last year. He's opened this season in very good form. I think we've talked about it, haven't we, Chaps? Like, he is like playing a massive role for us in 2026.
Yes.
Yeah, immense. So strong. Such a strong boy.
Strong hand.
Yeah, like it's an interesting one that, like, if you could have a time machine and change things and see, like, do you think he would be miles ahead of this with another AFL season under his belt, like starting this year, had he been able to play all of last year? Do you think he'd be miles ahead, or do you think he's just done miraculous work and been able to keep himself progressing and maturing at the same rate that he would have? Because I think the jump is so huge. Like, part of me thinks that surely he wouldn't be miles ahead of this had he played another year under his belt. So I wonder if it's somewhere in between that, like, he would have been a bit better maybe, but he's done. Like I said, it's miraculous. I don't know how he has matured as a footballer without being able to play football. That's it's kind of amazing.
It is quite incredible how he's, as I said, I've said it a few times, like, he's had such a terrible, terrible year last year. And it's amazing that he's come into this year and played the way he has. It's sort of, how would he be if he had that year of football? Would he be the same player? Would it be different? But just have him back and have him playing the way he is incredible. It shows that he put in the hard yards in the gym, the training, whatever he could do, and he's paying back the club. And I think that's the big part of it, is the club's stood by him, the club backed him in, the fans backed him in, And I think this is him just going, right, my time to pay him back. And I think, yeah, he's paying us back immensely already and been a really important player. And I gave him the 3 votes because I thought he, after that year and the first 2 games, I think he's been up there as one of our best players. And just really glad for him and can't wait to see more of him out there working alongside Max Holmes, Bailey Smith, Tom Atkins. Like, it's so exciting. Like, Max Holmes is just going to get better alongside Tanner Bruin, and I think those two alongside Bailey Smith could do something special.
Yeah, and I think it's specifically the mental side of things that blows me away with Bruin, because if there was a knock against his game back when he was playing in the previous season, from our podcast point of view, it was always a mental side of things. He was pretty fast. He was pretty brave. He was exceptionally talented, but his decision making and his composure was always what we're like. He gets the ball in these great spots and then just blazes away at it. He kicks it when he should hand pass. He hand passes when he should kick. And like defensively, he couldn't, I don't think he was necessarily knew how to move and structure up off ball. And that stuff has, he's like a different player in all of those areas, in the decision making, in the composure, in the two facets of the game, defensively and offensively. He seems much more experienced, and that's kind of what impresses me. Obviously, you can hit the gym, you can get stronger, you can hit the track, you can get faster. You can watch tape and get more knowledgeable about the game, but to actually seemingly improve your experience out there under the lights, with the noise, under pressure, I don't know how he's done that. I don't know if he's had some really intense VR sessions where they've just been subjecting him to AI created grand final experience or something. But that's because that to me is the thing that you can't get any way except experiencing it and maturing. And somehow he's leapfrogged players in our team who played a full season last year, and somehow he seems like a more mature, experienced footballer than a lot of those guys.
It's interesting looking at his stats this year. He's averaging 27.5 disposals. Previous best in a season was 17.5 in 2024. And the big difference is the amount of times he's kicking the ball. His average in 2024 was 9.88 kicks, 7.6 handballs. This year it's 18 kicks, 9.5 handballs. So he's basically doubled, the amount of kicks he was taking. And the other thing is the uncontested footy. When you look at his possession breakdown, he's averaging 6.5 contested possession. That's pretty much on par with what he's done at the Cats. But he's averaging 19 uncontested possessions. So I think the fitness, the work rate, I like how they're using him, and I like how he's excelling at the role. So, yeah, he has become a really important player for us. So, yeah, it's really good stuff. All right. I think that's about it. That's all the questions we had. Sambo, you and I, obviously, we've got to watch the VFL.
Mm-hmm.
Got to try and watch the VFL and recap that, because there's a lot to talk about on as far as that. Like, Jay Polkinghorne kicked 4 goals, 6. Ollie Wiltshire kicked 4 goals, 1. Laid a bunch of tackles. There are plenty of play. Jed Buse had 33 disposals. So yeah, there's plenty of guys filling their boots.
And we're gonna have to do that somewhat rapidly because the next game is bloody Friday.
Thursday. Friday for the VFL.
For the VFL,
Yeah.
I'll try and watch that right after this or tomorrow, I reckon.
Yeah, I might be in the same boat. All right. Thanks, chat. We appreciate it. Back in your ears on a Monday.
Fun as always. Got through the technical issues.
Yes.
It's always something, at some point. I've got no idea if I still look like I'm in like a hostage video. I don't know what the quality of my internet has looked like tonight visually, but anyway, it is what it is.
It's a hostage video, but it's it's like one in it's in good, better coverage. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
you've been taken
Upgraded.
hostage in Australia somewhere. Just not where you live,
Perfect.
because if you were taken hostage where you live, the quality wouldn't be good. You've been
Yes.
taken hostage and taken to somewhere else, somewhere closer to a cell tower.
Flash movie trivia has thrown out a VFL watch along ? I would love to do a live VFL watch along at some point as part of the twos. I might have a look at the fixture and see when the easiest one would be to get to. Ocker O'Keefe Gary 6307, not to be confused with Ocker O'Keefe Gary 6308, says, luckily your face is blurred. It's true. It's true. I'm going to say that you're meaning to protect my identity, not that I'm fuck ugly. Thanks.
He's just been
and
nice.
Ocker-
We'll leave it at that.
exactly. Yeah. Ocker O'Keefe Gary
You
6307, not to be
ugly
confused
bastard.
with Ocker O'Keefe Gary 6308, also said you missed a great VFL game last week. We did miss it live, but we won't miss it on replay.
On replay.
We are going to get to that, and there will be a full recap up on the Patreon, and we'll do a little breakout segment from that I'll chuck up on YouTube probably on Friday morning. I think that's where the VFL show goes up whenever we get to it in the week, so it's normally earlier for Patreon subscribers, and it's normally much, much longer. The YouTube audience will get a breakout section, usually of, 8 to 15 minutes of us talking about a player or two. So, yeah, you can look forward to that and look forward to everything else that's coming up on the Hoops Crew Media Network this week. Tuesday, enough of the week. Wednesday, show us your tips, you filthy animal. Thursday, the Paul James show. I think the Paul James show, though, having said that, because we've got a Thursday game, things might have been fucked around. So, anyway, point being, there's going to be shitloads of stuff to watch on the Hoops Crew as usual this week. We thank you for watching. We thank you for liking and subscribing and doing all the good stuff. Oh, that's it. Until next time, go Cats!
Go Cats! Go Cats!